Recently, I read a novel set in a small Croatian town called Rijeka, and its chaotic atmosphere made me wonder if this place was really that peculiar. Well, there was only one way to find out, so I told my best friend to pack up cause we're going on a road trip. Given that I live in Transylvania, getting to Rijeka wasn't easy, but the long and complicated journey was totally worth it. From beautiful beaches to unique museums, stunning hiking places, a mixture of Balkan and Mediterranean cuisine, and brilliant diversity in architecture, this city has something to offer for every type of traveler. So in this video I tell you about my journey to Rijeka and explain the town's history using its architecture as a visual guide. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In case you're new here, hi, I'm Anna and I make videos about random topics related to Central and Eastern Europe because I feel like there's not enough content about it online. So if you're into that, smash that subscribe button and check out my other videos after you're done with this one. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at some ancient Roman ruins, a medieval castle, beautiful churches from different periods of times, lots of Austro-Hungarian era Viennese secession style palaces, and some Socialist Yugo memorials. And with their help, we will decipher the chaotic history of Rijeka, hopefully without upsetting any of my Hungarian or Italian viewers.
Hogy az az orgonos mellett nevelkedett kajlakucsmasdarú tollas kutya úristenét a világnak?
And without further ado, let's dissect this topic. In the western side of Croatia, in the northern part of the Adriatic Sea, located in the mouth of the Rijeka River, there's a town with 100,000 inhabitants, surrounded by mountains. This place carried different names at different times of history, first mentioned in historical records as Tarsatica by the Roman author and commander Pliny the Elder. Despite its small size, Tarsatica played an important role, and it was the southern anchor point of the Claustra Alpinum Iuliarum, a Roman system of defensive fortifications stretching for hundreds of kilometers through the lands of current-day Italy, Slovenia and Croatia. After various battles, the fortification fell beyond repair, yet later the town was rebuilt under the name Flumen and it became a part of the Roman province of Dalmatia until the 6th century. Ruins of these ancient settlements still exist today and you can stumble upon them close to the city center. The archaeological park known as Tarsatica Principia holds the remains of a court and walls, mainly built in the styles of the late antiquity period. Despite their old age, the standing walls are in a better condition than your average Croatian sidewalk. The gateway, also referred to as the Roman Arch, was the main entrance of the heart of the ancient Roman command, which was under renovation the time I visited it, but it usually looks like this. Starting from the 5th century, the town was successively taken over by Ostrogoths, Byzantines, Lombards and Avars, and in 452 it was even burned down by the troops of the famous Hun ruler Attila, and finally in the 7th century, with the arrival of the Slavs in the southeastern European region, the Croats began settling the city. But before we go on, I need to say YouTube has a tendency of randomly resetting my view counter, not notifying my subscribers about my uploads, or automatically unsubscribing them, and it refuses to recommend my videos to new viewers. So if you wanna save this channel from fading into obscurity, leave a like, comment something random and share this video to keep the algorithm engaged. When the town came under Croatian rule, it was renamed to Rika Svetoga Vida, Rijeka for short, meaning the river of Saint Vitus, who is the patron saint of the city. Rika references the Rijeka River, literally meaning the big river. So yeah, that's why the book is titled A Town Called River. At that time began Rijeka's cruel game of whose land is it anyway, that various empires played with this region. First, the city was invaded by Frankish troops and became a part of the the Carolingian Empire, then it was taken back by the Croats and later became part of Croatia in personal union with Hungary. Then there was some drama between the Venetians and the Austrians, after which the town mostly remained under Habsburg rule. The most iconic construction of that era is the Tersat castle on the top of the Tersat hill. Although the site was already used for a fortification in Roman times, since it's a good military strategic point, the castle's appearance was redesigned in the 19th century in a Romanic neoclassical Biedermeier design. And there are two basilisks guarding a mausoleum which houses a gallery. The underground dungeons are often used for exhibitions, and its courtyard has a terrace and a restaurant which is used for concerts and parties. The castle is decorated with some interesting curvilicious statues, cannons, and the view from here is absolutely stunning. The shrine of Our Lady of Tersat dates back to the 13th century, standing on the Tersat hill built on the place where, according to a legend, Mary's house in Nazareth has appeared, then mysteriously disappeared later, only to be discovered in Italy in Loreto, where it still stands today as a shrine. Later, the Tersat shrine was turned into a Baroque church by the Franciscan order. The church's courtyard is adorned with various statues of religious figures, such as the statues of Saint Francis, Mother Teresa, and the Pope. Right next to the church, there's a beautiful pilgrimage site adorned with statues depicting the last moments of Jesus Christ, which, if you have bad navigation skills like me and started from the wrong direction, it will look like a wholesome story of a guy who got resurrected from an execution and taken to his homie to be kissed. Close to the shrine, you can find a unique statue of Mary looking down to the ports of the Adriatic Sea. The St. Jerome's Church is hidden in a tiny yard constructed by the Augustinians in 1315, and a bit over a century later it was taken over by the Dominicans, the order, not the country, who added a monastery to it. The original church fell victim to the 1750 earthquake and it was reconstructed in Baroque style. Another stunning medieval place of worship is the Church of the Assumption of Blessed Virgin Mary, near the old Roman ruins, standing on a site which, according to archaeologists, might have been a public bathing establishment during Roman times. Historical records suggest that a smaller church was built in 1377 and later received a Baroque three-nave edifice with a classic facade and an embedded Renaissance rosette with the Baroque portal. Together with the church, a freestanding bell tower was constructed, which has a unique 40 cm slope that earns the name the Leaning Tower. The cause of this distortion is credited to the late antique foundations, which are partially in the ground, and it is strongly affected by groundwater streams. This design flaw was used as an instigator for several attempts to demolish the tower in the past, but luckily that never happened. The beginning of the Habsburg-Ottoman drama marked the end of the Middle Ages, and Rijeka became a popular point during those times. After the beginning of the Habsburg-Ottoman Wars, the town was attacked by the Turks several times, but they never occupied it. The Habsburgs and Ottomans weren't the only ones causing hubbub in the town though. First, the town was raided by the Venetians, then the Habsburgs annexed it to the Kingdom of Hungary, later became part of the Austrian Empire, and then it was occupied by French forces under Napoleonic rule, but it was recaptured by the Austrians yet again. Despite all the conflicts, Rijeka began to gain its current Baroque and Renaissance appearance during that era. A unique memorial from that era is the Stednatz, which is a tall stone pillar erected by Maximilian I of the Holy Roman Empire to commemorate the loyalty to the city during the Venetian occupation. The pillar is over 2 meters high. It is decorated with a relief of Saint Vitus holding a model of the city in his hand. The Petar Kružić staircase really took my breath away, but not only with its beauty, but also with the fact that it's a 1.5 kilometer stairway, which is way more difficult to climb than it sounds.
Everything hurts. Everything's wet. I'm just gonna stay here.
but it was totally worth it because the view from up there is just absolutely stunning. The stairway starts from the archway at the eastern back of Rijeka, leading up to the Trsat castle, and its construction was commissioned by the Croatian warlord captain Petar Kružić, hence its name. There are two votive chapels along this stairway, one erected in the 15th century and the other in the 18th century. In the central part of the Korzo district, you can stumble upon a beautiful round tower with Rijeka's iconic green rooftop yellow walls combination. Its current Baroque appearance was constructed in the 17th century, which has a richly decorated portal, an imperial coat of arms carved out of stone, and reliefs of Austrian emperors Leopold and Charles VI, and the iconic clock tower. On the top you can see Rijeka's symbol, the double-headed eagle, which appears on its coat of arms as well. Now, after World War I, the Italian soldiers chopped off the head of the eagles to make it look more like the Roman eagle rather than the Austrian one. After World War II it was removed completely, and currently a replica of the original one is standing on the tower, which was set up in 2017. Another great addition of the 17th century is the beautiful St. Vitus Cathedral, which has a round structure that is very rare and surprising to see in this side of Europe, and it is adorned with a beautiful combination of Gothic and Baroque elements, which was built by the Jesuits. This building even appeared on the reverse of the former 100 kuna banknote. A significant historical event we cannot skip is an interesting technological invention that happened in Rijeka at that time, credited to Ivan Lubis and Robert Whitehead.
Is that a torpedo?
After Whitehead founded the world's first torpedo factory in Rijeka, its high profits increased the worldwide popularity of the city. So yeah, the Habsburg rule left a significant mark on Rijeka, or as they used to call it back then, Fiume, but after the Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867, the city's leadership changed again. Before we get into that, I want to remind you that you can find some of my clips on Shutterstock in 4K 60 fps in a way better quality than in this video, so if you need editorial clips from Rijeka, Zagreb, Ljubljana, Cluj, and soon probably even Vienna, you can purchase them from there. Now back to Rijeka's history. We reached the segment that always ruffles the feathers of my Croatian and Romanian viewers, the days of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. When the dual monarchy was established in 1867, Rijeka, among other territories of current-day Croatia, came under the rulership of the Hungarian crown, and things remained like that until World War I. Ethnic conflicts, unfair taxes, and other issues aside, the era's one visible positive impact is the signature architectural designs left behind by Austrian and Hungarian architects, which you can find all over Central Europe. One such architect is the Hungarian Pap Ferenc, and he designed a large number of railway stations all over the empire. Rijeka's railway station stands in neoclassicist style, and it has the signature structure of Pap's iconic style with a central entrance hall and two side buildings. Other significant architects of the era were Fellner and Helmer, whose work you're probably already familiar with from my other videos. After many theater buildings in Central Europe were destroyed by fire, the Habsburg monarchy began to take safety precautions and commissioned the two bodies to build safer and better buildings. After 2 years of construction, on the opening day, 2 operas were performed: Verdi's Aida, which is coincidentally a show that I recently saw, and Ponchielli's Gioconda. Many visitors, however, only showed up to admire the architectural masterpiece. Due to the constant leadership change, the theater was renamed several times until in 1994 it finally got its current name, and it was dedicated to Ivan Zajc, a Croatian composer, conductor, director and teacher who dominated Croatia's musical culture for over 40 years. Today there's a statue of Zajc facing the theater. Right behind Zajc's statue there's a beautiful palace built for the Rijeka Bank and Cash Box of the saving banks. The Model Palace was also designed by by Fellner and Helmer, and it has an iconic facade decorated with late Renaissance and Baroque elements made by the sculptor Ignazio Donegani. The ground floor is currently operated by the Public Library of Rijeka City, and it has a fabulous gala hall that is an audience of Italian Cultural Club. In the same area, there's also a beautifully built indoors farmers market constructed after a 19th century flood, when the rising sea level washed away the stalls of the old outdoors market.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water. Please help me.
The central market is a building with two interconnected pavilions that has a metal grid structure and a beautifully decorated facade designed by Isidor Wauching. In 1876, a natural history museum was founded within the current-day Nikola Host Park, which is oriented towards marine research and has a specialized library in the field of biology, geology, and paleontology. The building of the State Archives was originally just a simple summer house in the middle of a vineyard and an olive grove on the hill just above the northern city walls, which was later renovated after it was purchased by Franz Joseph. The building is surrounded by a park named after the Croatian physicist and botanist Nikola Host, and an interesting statue you can find here is the busty statue of a sphinx.
That's quite big.
Another building standing in a similar style is the administrative building of the Port of Rijeka, which is decorated with historicist and late Renaissance elements. And as in every city I talked about before, Rijeka also has a beautiful old hotel known as Continental Hotel, opened in 1888, which was a popular gathering place of its time. The building was designed by Matej Glavan, a Croatian architect who has designed various industrial, public, and residential buildings. Another one of Glavan's beautiful works is the Croatian Reading Room of Trsat, which has a great public library and concert hall. In the meantime, the Mrtvi Canal, also known as that channel, appeared on the city map when it was decided that the final part of the Riječin River should be deviated. The reason behind this decision was that the river used to flood part of the city located close to its mouth during periods of heavy rainfall, so the city government decided to dig a new bed to deviate its flow further towards the east. The former bed became the main port of the city, and sailing boats entered here transferring oil, wine, vegetables, and food. With that, the Mrtvi Canal banks became operated as a marketplace too. The first building, which might catch your eye when you get off your bus in Rijeka, is the Ploče Palace, named after one of the biggest names in Rijeka's torpedo industry, Annibale Ploče. This palace resembles the designs of Viennese ring architecture, decorated with neo-Baroque elements. The symbol of Rijeka's maritime power is the Adria Palace, which was built with the specific intention to become the most beautiful and richest building in Rijeka. And let's be honest, that intention was really fulfilled. Its design was made by Franjo Matjasic, and it was erected in 1895. The palace has two front facades, one turned towards the port and the other to the opposite direction towards the Jadranski Square. The design draws inspiration from high Renaissance architecture thanks to its Baroque portals with stone pillars and sculptures. On the seaside, the statues portray captains, steersmen, enginemen, and pilots, and they are allegories of seamanship. The other side shows allegories of the continents with which Rijeka was connected with boat lines, like an image of a Japanese woman which represents Asia, a Native American woman representing America, an Egyptian woman representing Africa, and there's also an image of an Icelandic woman. One of the very few buildings which can kind of compete with the Adria Palace's beauty is the Governor's Palace, which is a beautiful historicistic place designed by the world's most stereotypically Hungarian-looking person, Alajos Hausmann. The building has a neo-Renaissance style with its main facade directed towards the sea, covered with white stone and beautiful relief decorations. The palace currently hosts the Maritime and History Museum of the Croatian littoral, showing the history of shipping in Croatia, among other intriguing things related to Croatia's history. The palace is surrounded with gardens, and you can find the beautiful statues of history right next to it as well. Right on the port, there's the former Palazzo Bačić, which is known today as the Transadria building, often considered one of the most striking historical buildings in the city. The beautiful design was created by the architect Giuseppe Farkas, and it has a unique neoclassical appearance. In 1947, the building became the business headquarters of the Adria Shipping Company, and it was recently sold due to some sus business practices and bankruptcy. And lastly, the City Savings Bank was built right before the First World War, inspired by historical Italian architecture styles. During the war, the palace came into the hands of Banco di Roma, and today it is used by the Rijeka city administration as the town hall. Despite all the negative events and conflicts of the Austro-Hungarian era that I'm not gonna get into again, given that I already mentioned those topics in my Zagreb, Ljubljana and Cluj-Napoca videos, this time period left a positive impact on the architecture of the region. But all that ended with World War I, when the city's leadership changed yet again. Now, if you thought that things were complicated until this point, wait until you hear about the rest. But you know what's even more complicated? Trying to comprehend why only 16% of you are subscribed to this channel. I know you are watching my videos, so do me a favor and click subscribe. Thank you! Now that we're done triggering the Hungarians, we can turn the flag 90 degrees and rile up the Italians too. After World War I, following Austria-Hungary's disintegration, rival Croatian and Italian administrations were established in the city. Both Italy and the new kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes claimed sovereignty, which was discussed at the Paris Peace Conference during the course of 1919. But the negotiations were interrupted by Italian nationalist irregulars led by the poet Gabriele D'Annunzio, who seized control of the city by force. Following the Treaty of Rapallo that resolved the dispute over some territories in this area, Rijeka became an independent state known as the Free State of Fiume, under a regime acceptable to both. D'Annunzio wasn't happy with that, so he declared war against Italy, which led to the bombardment by Italian royal forces and the surrender of the city. Italian troops took over in 1921, which was soon followed by a short-lived local fascist takeover that ended in the Third Italian military occupation, and after that Italy itself fell under fascist rule. There are two significant buildings from that era, and one of them was started before all these shenanigans and only was finalized after World War I. The stunning neo-Gothic Basilica of Our Lady of Lourdes was built intermittently during 30 years, and the construction project was initiated by the Capuchin monks. The building was based on the designs of Cornelio Budinic, and if you look at this original design, you'll see that something is missing from the final product. Above the main facade, there should have been a bell tower with a large angel, but with all the political drama and conflicts, the original design was never realized. But even without the tower, the building is absolutely stunning, built with the characteristics of medieval architecture, drawing inspiration from Venetian Gothics. On a pedestal, there is a white statue of Our Lady of Lourdes, which is the work of Anton Marietic. And the Rijeka skyscraper is the oldest skyscraper of the town, located on the Adriatic Square in the center of the city. The skyscraper was built in 1939 based on the designs of Umberto Nordi, and it was originally named as Arbori Palace, named after its largest investor, Al Capone's accountant, Marco Arbori.
No need to thank me, fellas. I just provide the city with a valuable commodity, while doing away with the competition.
This building has become a recognizable symbol of Rijeka, and with its simple design and monumental brick facade, it is considered as one of the most significant works of modern architecture in today's Croatia. Although there aren't many landmarks representing this era, these do tell a good story of what was going on exactly during those days. During World War II, however, things got even darker. In September of 1943, Rijeka and the surrounding territories were occupied by German forces, becoming part of the Adriatic Littoral Zone. Because of its oil refinery, torpedo factory, and shipyards, the city became a popular target of Anglo-American air attacks, which resulted in the deaths of hundreds of innocent citizens. At the end of the war, the harbor area was destroyed by retreating German troops, and after some heavy fights, Yugoslav troops took over the city. The new change in rulership came at the price of over 50,000 Italian speakers being chased out of the city, and the discrimination experienced at the hands of the Yugoslav officials in the last days of World War II still remains a painful and controversial topic when discussing Rijeka's history. In the same time, the Yugoslavs spent lots of efforts and resources to rebuild the city's harbor and its various industries. Given the massive destruction caused by the military clashes, the city was rebuilt in a style that became very popular in East Eurogen's meme culture, the Balkan architecture style. And I gotta tell you, it looks really bizarre to see this so close to the beautiful Adriatic Sea. At the same time, a handful of Socialist Yugo memorials were erected. The Monument of Liberation is a 20-meter monument in the style of Socialist realism, erected in 1955 on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of Rijeka's liberation from the Nazi occupation. The statue portrays a female figure surrounded by a group of partisan fighters, all symbolizing victory and faith in a better future. The T-shaped column refers to the main figure of the partisan resistance, Josip Broz Tito. With all the focus on the city's industrialization, some monuments were erected to celebrate Rijeka's various industries. On the occasion of the 150th anniversary of the Rijeka paper factory, which is the oldest paper factory in southeastern Europe, a fountain was built on Ivan Kobler Square using paper press equipment made in the factory. In the same era, one of Rijeka's old traditions was first revived, and it's still the most iconic cultural event tied to the city's name. Its most iconic element is the March of the Zvončari, aka Bellmen, which dates back to Slavic pagan antiquity, and their role is to scare away the evil spirits of winter and to stir up a new spring cycle by making an extraordinary amount of noise. On the same evening, there is an event called the Burning of the Pust, which is a straw doll used to parody a politician blamed for all the bad things that happened in the previous year. This event is held at the harbor, where they read all his sins, then a boat takes him to the sea where it is burned. There's not much to show from that era, since there was more focus on fixing the city after World War II's massive destructions. Luckily, the next major armed conflict, the Yugoslav Wars, didn't affect Rijeka as severely as it did in the rest of the region. After the breakup of Yugoslavia, Rijeka became a part of the finally independent Croatia.
Objavljujeme cijelome svijetu suverenu volju hrvatskog naroda I svih građana Republike, da se današnjim danom Republika Hrvatska proglašuje samostalnom I suverenom državom.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
As a negative after effect of the Yugoslav wars, many industries which were reliant on the socialist government completely fell apart and the city has stagnated economically. The city's appearance, however, began to significantly improve after Rijeka was voted the European Capital of Culture and several renovations were carried out throughout the city. Today, the city is adorned with some interesting statues which were set up in the early 2000s and a handful of unique museums. The statue of the milkmaid represents women who used to sell fresh milk to the citizens of Rijeka. They would wake up at dawn and walk around 15 kilometers each day from villages located at Grobnik, carrying heavy buckets in large bags on their backs and some in their hands. Then they would shout loudly at the square to attract customers. The tradition lasted from the 19th century until the 1990s, and it's being remembered by yearly commemorations. Leaning against the railing above the Rijeka River, there stands a statue of Janko Poličkamo. The avant-garde novelist from the early 20th century became a significant figure of Croatian literature due to his works expressing his displeasure and frustration with hypocrisy and injustice. The Peek and Poke Vintage Computer Museum was actually opened in 2007 as an educational and non-profit project by a couple of computer enthusiasts, and it exhibits more than 1,000 items collected from all around the world belonging to different time periods. The name Peek and Poke is a reference to the fact that you can actually touch and peek and poke at most of the exhibited items. There's also the recently opened Pharmacy Museum, which is specialized on the history of Croatian and worldwide pharmacy presented in a modern way. All in all, I'm glad to see that the city is still undergoing smaller improvements. My trip to Rijeka was one of the most fun trips I've ever been to. Despite the not so pleasant weather and the annoying sound of horny seagulls, I had a lot of fun discovering the town, enjoying the local cuisine and walking around the port. My adoration might be rated to the fact that to me Rijeka is kind of like the Transylvania of Croatia on crack. I mean, it's a highly debated land with many names, mixed population, complicated history, and they also burn a straw doll during the carnival. That's definitely like my homeland. Long story short, I can honestly recommend this place as a tourist destination, though I advise you to get a good pair of hiking shoes and prepare your body for lots and lots and lots of stairs. My plan is to visit Rijeka once again next year during the carnival season, so I'll be able to finally see some zvončari and the burning of pusts. But enough about that. Have you been to this town or are you planning on visiting it? Tell me in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, share this video with your friends and family to combat YouTube's extermination plan against my channel, purchase my stock footage if you need them, and subscribe or the copper dick owl will grate you. Thanks for tuning in and have a nice day.
Štiri mi žandori, ne ti s po glavo.